And we are live from the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Thank you for joining us here on the Christian Whistleblower channel, also the home of the Unindoctrinator podcast. We're glad to have you. It's been a great day. I was on the Power Hour national radio broadcast this early afternoon. Had a great time there with Daniel. We all miss Joyce. She was a great asset to our movement. And somebody somewhere said something to me about something that was really good. They said something about the truth movement was over. And I wish I could have remembered it. And I will at some point, but not this point. But folks, we are getting better and better. We're getting more powerful and more powerful. Things are good and they're getting better. If you don't believe it, just stick around and you will see for sure. Good news, emergency podcast coming. We're just having a great time. Today, we're going to talk about principalities and powers. Who do we really wrestle against? I know that's Bible stuff. Jeff, I thought you didn't believe in the Bible. I don't. It's a document that's meant to keep us locked within the fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix. But it does, by natural law, contain the keys to our deliverance. So that's why we study it, and we uncover lots of stuff. Lots of great podcast excellence coming up. We'll talk about some of the things in the future a little bit later. Great to see so many of you here in the chat room. Great to see so many new faces. And yes, of course, I love the old faces just as much. Thank you. Many people coming in saying the Power Hour is great. You can go to the powerhournation.com, I think. I don't know how long it takes, but you can get the replays, and you can also go to the Power Hour YouTube channel, which I should list on my channel here. Ian Jacklin is in the house. And speaking of that, Ian, do you believe I got challenged to a fight today? Some people act like they're 15 years old. It's so crazy. But, and you know, the problem is part of me says, ooh, I'd like to do it. But I will not, ladies and gentlemen. But we will find out what we fight against, what we wrestle against. And we're going to take a look at it right now, folks. Principalities and powers. Who do we really wrestle against? And I know there's a lot of fun stuff going on in the chat room. We appreciate all of you. You're all very nice. And this is one of those things, this whole principalities and powers things. This is one of those core fear porn things. This is one of those core things that they use to keep you scared, to keep you offbeat, to keep you worried. And we're going to talk about it and find out what it really, really means today, ladies and gentlemen. And I do encourage you to go to my website, jeffreydaugherty.com, and check out the Mystech bracelets. They do keep you at the original ideal Schumann resonance of the planet. You see, I wear them. It's amazing, folks, the things that they do for you. We've got tests, blood tests to prove it. We've got EMF tests to prove it. We've got Kirlian photography that proves it. And it really is a great way to be stylish, to be hip, to be cutting edge, and to be on top of your game. Mystech, 20% off at jeffreydaugherty.com. And it is a cliche verse. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But let's look at it and let's take a look, see what we come out. They want us to believe that we wrestle against the devil and his angels. My question is, do we? Do we really wrestle against the devil and his angels? Well, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, written by the false Apostle Paul, wrote, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Remembering the main function of the Bible is to make sure that you stay locked in the fear and guilt blood magic control matrix. And yet it does contain keys for us to get out due to the dictates and mandates of natural law. So let's look at this, and let's look at each one of these things in the text, straight definition, and see what they are and see who we fight. Because this verse, like just about all the other ones, is disclosure with distraction. Very well stated, Tracy. Tracy Dyer says that it programs casual readers, and it really does. And the bigger thing, Tracy, is that it programs casual listeners. And you've got these programmers, these people that claim to be Christians, and these people that claim not to be Christians but are. They say it, and the casual listener just says, oh, okay, well, it came from this guy on YouTube. It's got to be real. It came from this girl on YouTube. It's got to be real. But this is disclosure with distraction. And the first statement is, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Folks, that should perk up your ears immediately, because we clearly wrestle against flesh and blood. We clearly do wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against our own bodily non-optimization desires. My body would like to sit around and eat Lucky Charms and drink Coke, not a physical optimization strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Our body wants things. Our body craves things. Our body calls out for things, demands things, gets hooked on things that do not lead to optimization for our body. If we weren't addicted to bad things, we wouldn't have people like Jay Campbell trying to get us physically optimized. So we do fight against flesh and blood. We do fight against non-optimization body desires, and we fight against the things that want to keep us from being who we are. We want to fight against the things that want to keep us from being who we're meant to be. Bad thinking, stinking thinking, as Zig Ziglar used to call it. And yet, when you know you're fighting a battle, a mental battle, when you know that your words are either wrecking balls or building blocks for your life, you still listen to fear porn constantly. What's wrong with you people? I don't think there is a truth movement anymore. I really don't. I can barely tell the quote unquote alternative media information providers from the mainstream media. They're both spreading fear. They're both spreading doubt. They're both spreading worry. Ooh, it's the half-truth movement. Not even half. I love that too, Trees. That's really good. Because what has happened is these people that are on YouTube to make money, to stroke their egos, and to get famous, they found out the very easy truth. Pardon me. I've been doing a lot of talking today. They found the very easy truth that mainstream media found. And like Tracy says, many of them are controlled ops. And folks, it's so funny. I've been accused over the last couple of days of being a communist operative. I've been accused of being a communist operative because I dare to say, ain't nobody dying in China. Well, when you start sharing a truth and it's an inconvenient truth, that's when you start getting a lot of trolls. I woke up today and I had 318 spam messages in my YouTube comments, 318 of them. And I had to go and take every one of them out. And they were all mentioning a specific channel. And I think we're directed by that channel. So we had some communication that said, stop doing it. But at any rate, do you realize how empty a life you have to take the time to put in 318 spam comments, even cut and paste? It takes a minute. And it's just so sad that people are invested in that type of activities rather than actually doing something that is productive. How empty do you have to be, ladies and gentlemen? How empty do you have to be? But the problem is, and the surprising thing is It's the people that want to be positive, the people that want to be optimistic, and the people that want to share truth are the ones that get spammed and ridiculed. It's craziness. But we do wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against our non-optimized body desires. We also wrestle against the rat bastard. And I think that we've proven that the rat bastard is not divine. The God of the Bible is not a divine being. The God of the Bible is nothing more than a rogue, majestic serpent being of the type created in Genesis 1:21, few verses before man, and he's nothing but a rogue, majestic serpent being. He's not even divine. I always knew he wasn't Yahweh. I hate to use that name. I always knew that he wasn't the Tetragrammaton. He is a flesh and blood being. And they don't want us to know that we're wrestling against flesh and blood. They want us to think we're wrestling against something incorporeal, something bigger than us, something beyond us. That's why there's so much wanting you to believe in the extraterrestrial hypothesis, that everything you see in the sky that you can identify is from the backside of Uranus. Because they don't want us to realize it's something that we can deal with. They want it to be bigger than us, beyond us, and crazy. But we are wrestling against a flesh and blood enemy called the rat bastard. He's a majestic serpent mob boss. And we are wrestling against his flesh and blood co-conspirators of both human and majestic serpent lineage. And think about this. We know there's humans on this earth. We know there's majestic serpents on this earth. What else is on this earth that we don't know about? There's likely to be some other type of beings here. And maybe some of them work for the other side. So we do wrestle against flesh and blood. The very beginning of that passage tries to convince us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, so we won't have our guard up to everything that we fight against. You do wrestle against flesh and blood, ladies and gentlemen. I will assure you of that. You do wrestle against flesh and blood. Now let's get into what else we wrestle against. And the word is wrestle. And it is just what it means. Get in there, wrestle, headlock, forearm, elbow smash. Yeah, it's wrestle. So we wrestle against principalities and powers. And let's go ahead and go into the Greek, why don't we? I'll show you what principalities means. I'll show you what powers means. And it doesn't mean what they taught you in church. It doesn't mean what these Christian so-called and these ones that are Christian and won't admit it, YouTube channels are teaching you. It doesn't mean that whatsoever. It means something completely and wholly different. And the reason why, do you understand that if you don't know who to fight, you can't win? And if somebody's fighting against you and you don't know who they are, it's very, very difficult to defeat them, isn't it? But when you do know who it is, and you do know who you're fighting, well, then it becomes very, very simple and very, very easy. At least it gives you a focus, and focus, always focus when applied, is going to lead to victory for you, especially if you're one of the badasses that listens to this channel. I promise you, I have faith in you. I've got your back. We've got your back. And you are going to be a winner chicken dinner. So we wrestle against, and we do wrestle. It is effort. So can I just tell you right now that if you think you came into this realm, if you think you came into this genre and you think it's going to be easy peasy, tiptoe through the tulips, rainbows and unicorns, somebody lied to you. Is it going to be better? Yes. Is it going to be more enjoyable? Yes. Does it lead to life and life more abundant? Yes. Does it lead to peace that passes all understanding? Yes. But it's work. It takes time. It takes effort. And think about over your life. Think back over your life. Have you ever got something that was of great worth that you didn't have to exert great effort for? At least in spirituality, there is a boy. I'm going to get myself in trouble. This just came to me. There's an inverse relationship. There's an inverse relationship. If you want something that's really valuable, it's not an inverse. It's a parallel relationship. If you want something really really valuable, you got to work really really hard to get it. Inverse is the thinking of, I can get something really spectacular by doing a little bit of effort. I can get some great revelation by licking a frog. I can get some really great revelation by taking a blotter of acid. I can get some really great spiritual understanding by sucking, snorting, eating, licking, swallowing a plant. Does that even make sense? No. Your own mind tells you that's not going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. Everything that is of spiritual worth takes work, takes dedication, takes effort. You can't snort spirituality. You can't smoke spirituality. You can't swallow spirituality. It's got to be created, built, brick by brick from within, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where that came from, but somebody needed to hear it. What then, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at this, what is a principality? Because that's the first thing we wrestle against. We wrestle against principalities, powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. The one thing I don't like about Bible Hub is it drops us into another translation when we try to go and look at the verse individually. So we got to remember, we're talking about principalities and powers right here. So as we go to 12, even though the words change, we remember that our struggle is against rulers and authorities. That's principalities and powers. So the first thing we're going to do is look at what a ruler is. That's the word translated principality in the King James, an arche. What does it mean? I know what you've been taught. I know what you've read. I know what you've heard. I know what you've learned. And I want to show you what the text says. Because the text doesn't care what you think. The text just says what the text says. And the text is what is here to lock you into the fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix. And the text is what contains the keys for you to free yourself if you can find them, if you can spot them, if you can decode them, and if you can apply them into your lives. And this one says that we wrestle against rulers. What's a ruler? A ruler is a king. A ruler is a magistrate. Kings, rulers, magistrates. You understand that that's talking about the rulers, the people in authority right here, right now on this world. No, but Jeff, it's we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. You do wrestle against flesh and blood, but they don't want you to know that you wrestle against flesh and blood. Do you remember the old saying, that said, how did it go? He's so heavenly minded that he's of no earthly good. She's so heavenly minded that she's of no earthly good. That's what they want. They don't want you to know that you're wrestling against flesh and blood right here, right now, enemies. They want you to believe that you're worshiping against stuff out. You're wrestling against stuff out there. And think about it. They want you to think you're wrestling against stuff you can't wrestle. It's a good way to think about it. The things that you're against, you can wrestle them. And one of them is kings and magistrates. Well, how am I going to wrestle a king? How am I going to wrestle a president, a prime minister, a ruler? How am I going to wrestle presidential? How am I going to wrestle political rulers? Do go listen to that Power Hour show today, because there's a great movement afoot, which I'm going to be a big part of as much as they'll let me be. And I really want to get into this. There's a way that we can take back, I don't like saying take back because it means that we gave it up. We can reassert our sovereignty one county at a time over kings, over magistrates, over rulers. We can reaffirm our sovereignty, ladies and gentlemen. We can reaffirm our rule of self, our self-arche. We can reaffirm it. I just heard myself say affirm in the other room, and it helped me. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for helping me. You're welcome, Jeff. But we can reaffirm from kings, from rulers, from magistrates, we can reaffirm our own victory. And if you think about the guy that wrote this, he also wrote, was it Romans 12 or 13? You're subject to the powers that be. Oh, we got to look at that. That wasn't in my notes either. Wow. I love it when you get some right on air revelation. What is it, guys? Is it Romans 12 or is it Romans 13? I think it's Romans 12. Let me see. Is it Romans 12 or be it Romans 13? This is so good. It's the same damn word, ladies and gentlemen. It's Romans 13, I think. Or is it 18? Let's see. I'll find it. It's Romans 13. It's Romans 13. I'm going to take a peek. But it says, Romans 13 says, submit yourself to the governing authorities. Submit yourself to the arche that we're talking about, the rulers of this age. Wow. It is good to be good. That's why you're here. And that's why we're making huge strides in our work and we're growing daily. And I appreciate you for being here and being a part of it. So we can take back, we can reassert our majesty over these rulers. And these rulers are not Satan. These rulers are not the watchers. These rulers are not the archons. These rulers are rulers, flesh and blood rulers that they try to throw us off the track by saying we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we're wrestling against rulers and authorities. What's an authority? An authority is a person given power to act, or an authority, a power, an authority, a weight, a moral authority. It is the deep state, really. It's the people that carry out the rule from the rulers that we just talked about. These are the people that actually enact. These are the actors, the legislators, the ones that are doing the deeds that these devilish people that are in charge are doing. And let's look back at our slide. The principalities are kings that have ruled from the inception of rule of this age. And that entails what, and I got that from, if you go back, it says they have ruled from the beginning. So it really goes back to Rome. We're fighting against Rome, and interesting that Romans 13 came up because it proves it to be Rome. We're still fighting Roman religion. We're still fighting Roman politics. We're still fighting Roman finance. We're still fighting Roman culture. And remember that rabbinical and Talmudic Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Gnosticism, that all came from Rome. Rome started it. And it all came from the Talmud. And I've shown you the fun stuff they do in the Talmud. And I know that some of you Gnostics like to pat yourselves on the back and think you're different. You're not. You come from the Talmud. You come from Christianity. You come from the rat bastard. You come from Rome. All the Roman political, all the Roman financial, all the Roman social, all the Roman cultural, all the Roman religious systems. That's what we're talking about. Fighting against that, which is flesh and blood, which is real, and fighting against powers, the world system rulers, the humanoid agents of the rat bastard Roman plan. And if it's flesh and blood, it might even be reptilian agents, right? Of the rat bastard's Roman plan. It is the flesh and blood entities that are putting this plan into action. This is what the text says. And again, the text doesn't give a damn what you think, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the text says. And it'll help you to get these ideas. It'll help you to get these thoughts. It'll help you to get these concepts. If you get the focused life force energy product into your life, it really is high consciousness on demand. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the FLFE logo. You get 30 days free. So we're wrestling against kings, powers, authorities, and we're wrestling against the flesh and blood agencies that practically roll out and enforce the policies that the state puts over us. And not only that, we wrestle against the rulers of the darkness of this world. The rulers of the darkness of this world. Let's see what that says in the text itself, ladies and gentlemen. See, we go just by the text, and all of a sudden, it's not things that we can't handle. All of a sudden, it's not things that we can't take care of. All of a sudden, it's not things that are greater than us. It's not things that are above us. It's just things that are here with us that we're used to already dealing with. So we know what the rulers are. We know what the authorities are. And what are these powers? These are the cosmocrators, the rulers of this world. The word, it comes from cosmos, which is the order, the world, and it comes from krateo, which is to rule. The people ruling the world. Really, if you think about it, it probably kicks us up a level to these are our Illuminati sources. These are our, Bilderbergers. These are our Bohemian Groves. These are our deep state. These are our overshadowing rulers. But I want you to know that these are people that we're fighting. The text shows that they are people. They're rulers, and they are, first of all, powers. This thing throws me off. We did rulers, we did authorities. That's powers of the world's darkness. What is the darkness of this world? It's physical, it's moral, it's darkness. So what we're fighting against is not only the political structures, the political injustice, the political lockdown that we're in. We're also fighting against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And they're not necessarily the same thing, but most of the time they are. I'll grant you that. But the thing to notice is there's absolutely no textual basis for making these rulers of darkness anything other than humanoids of this world. They're not scary monsters that live under our beds. They're not scary monsters that live in our closets. They're flesh and blood beings that we can face down, stare down, and defeat. And if you go back in, and I'll try to save you as much of the flickering around between shadow or between screens as I can. The word really means shadows, darkness. This world's darkness, this world's shadows, which means that we're fighting against the people that keep things from being clearly seen. We're fighting against people that keep things from being clearly revealed. That's all the way from Bohemian Grove to the idiots on the other YouTube channels. Anybody that's trying to keep things from being clearly seen, can I say all things? Anybody that tries to keep all things from being clearly seen is a ruler of darkness. Anybody and everybody that's trying to keep things from being revealed, all things, is a ruler of darkness. They're a shadowy figure that needs to be exposed. That's why one of my taglines is shining light into the dark corners of orthodoxy. What's in a dark corner? Darkness. And we are exposing darkness here on this channel. That's our reason for being. Now, so far, we wrestle against flesh and blood rulers of this world's shadowy darkness. We wrestle against political corruption and entities. We wrestle against parapolitical, if you will, entities and humans. Not even entities, see? It's just humans. That's all we know right now. Flesh and blood rulers of the world's shadowy darkness, the things that are kept secret and not revealed. Everything so far that we fight has been earthly. It's not beyond you. It's not better than you. It's not grander than you. It's not greater than you. All of these things that we fight against so far put their pants on one leg at a time. They put their bras on, ladies, one arm at a time, just like you do. And they have to do that contortion thing to try to get those things snapped. I don't know how you do it. I really don't, but I do like watching. I'll admit that much. Craziness, right? It's not scary like they want us to think it is. It's not beyond us like they want us to think it is. We're wrestling against flesh and blood things. Now comes this statement. Now we're wrestling against spiritual wickedness in high places. Pardon me, and I want you to notice that word places and keep that in the back of your mind. You don't wrestle against flesh and blood, they lead with, and then show you that you do wrestle against flesh and blood. And then they say, and now you're against spiritual wickedness in high places. What does it really mean? What does the word spiritual forces, as we get back into our text, in the heavenly realms, what does it mean? Get ready to have your paradigm challenged, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the text does not care what you think. We wrestle against spiritual forces. Spiritual. What does the word spiritual mean? Oh, I'm so spiritual. Usually nothing. But it comes from 4151. Pneuma. Wind. Spirit. Breath. Wispy. Incorporeal. Could I say hot air? Hot air? We wrestle against hot air. I'm completely within the text. Wind, breath, spirit, hot air. Let's look at more. We wrestle against the spiritual forces. It's the same thing. Hot air, wind, breath. And then it says it's evil. What's evil? Iniquity, wickedness, iniquities. Bad. It comes from the word 4191. Labor. They make it harder than it has to be. They make it more painful than it has to be, more anguish than it has to be, more distress than it has to be, more suffering than it has to be. That's the key of it. And it also comes from 4190. Evil, bad, wicked, malicious. So is it really evil, bad, wicked, malicious, or is it just hot air making it harder for us than it has to be? And it's in the heavenly realms. What does this mean? It's in the heavenly realms. Well, it means heaven. Oh, no. Look what it means. The heavenly sphere. So let's keep down and look. Let's look at this. It comes from 1909. At the basis of. You read this, it's up to the limits of. And watch what happens. It's up to the limits of the visible heavens, the atmosphere, the sky, the starry heavens, the spiritual heavens. So the things that we fight against, if there are windy, blowy, wispy, airy, hot air things that we fight against, they always have a limit of just the visual heavens, the atmosphere, the sky, the starry heavens, the things that are right here within our limitations. Keep watching. And it's the heavenly what? It's the heavenly realms, ladies and gentlemen. The heavenly realms. Let's go down and look at some more of this. Heaven. Existing in heaven. The things that take place in heaven. the heavenly regions, celestial, heavenly, high, the sky. Okay, well, let's go and see what this, let's go into the derivation of these other words and look through them and see what it says. Okay, the beginning, the limits of, on or upon, the place on which, the place of. It's a limitation of a place, ladies and gentlemen. The place near, the place hard by. Let's go back for some more of these words. 3772. The visible heavens. What you walk outside, what do you see? That's the realm of things that are wispy, airy, breathy, hot, airy that I fight. This, walk outside at night. Oh, okay. This is the limitations of it. This is the area of it. Heaven, heavenly, heavens, sky, the upper regions. Oh, snap. The vaulted expanse of the sky. Oh, the vaulted expanse of the sky. The aerial heavens. So when you start reading and looking at all these together, you realize it's talking about an enclosed area of atmosphere that's earthly around this planet. Let's ponder this a minute. Let's look at this a minute, and let's remember that the text doesn't care what you think. We're talking about wind, breath, incorporeal stuff that's evil, bad, wicked, malicious. Do we believe in evil, bad, wicked, malicious? No. Do we believe in balance and imbalance? Yes. Of the air, the heavens, or the sky. The vaulted expanse of sky with all the things visible in it. I'm here tonight to tell you that the text tells you that if you think you are fighting spiritual wickedness, you're only fighting the spiritual wickedness from the sky around the earth, not spiritual wickedness from space, and not spiritual wickedness from any place else. And did you notice the word places in the King James Version translation? Did you notice it? Allow me, ladies and gentlemen and cousins of the jury, allow me to call your attention to this particular exhibit once again. They want us to think that we're fighting all of these beings that are beyond us, that are from all of these crazy places. But look how they lie. Look how they deceive. Look how they attempt to make you think things that aren't real. Do you see this word right here, ladies and gentlemen? Spiritual wickedness in high. Remember, I told you to keep your mind in this places. You see it's in italics. Do you know what that means? Oh, it means it's really important. Oh, it means I should pay close attention. No, not in the King James Version. In the King James Version, look up the beginning of your King James Version. There's an index that says this means this, that means that. And words placed in italics are added by the translators. Do you recognize the enormity of them adding that one word and the effect that it has on your mental capacity and the effect that it has on your ideas of what you're really battling against? If you think that there's all kinds of things in all kinds of heavenly places, you might just throw up your hands and say, I can't win. But when you realize that it's only the things that are in this place, this particular atmosphere that surrounds this earth, Whether it surrounds it like this or whether it surrounds it like that, it's an enclosed arena. It's an enclosed arena. So what am I here to say? You are not fighting against anything that comes from outer space. You are not fighting anything that comes extra atmosphere of Earth. You are within an arena that is within a controlled system, and the things that you fight are just from here. You're not fighting Andromedans. You're not fighting Draconians. You're not fighting Romulans, Klingons. You're not fighting Uranians. You're only fighting things, if they are incorporeal things which you fight, you're only fighting ones that are indigenous to this planet's atmosphere, Earth, sky. They're only from here. You don't have to fight things from other places. But they want you to think you are because they want you to feel out of control. And the text clearly shows this. We're wrestling against earthly foes, and earthly foes only. We're wrestling against the rulers of the shadowy darkness of this world, not some other world. And it appears, if we are, and we'll go back and forth on this, if we're fighting wispy, windy, airy entities, then we're fighting only the ones, we're wrestling only with the ones that inhabit the airspace immediately surrounding the earth. Places is italicized because it's added by translators. This confirms that the wispy, windy, airy entity enemies are only from the immediate airspace surrounding earth within our own atmosphere. You're not fighting aliens. And some of you are so pissed off right now. I've just given you good news. And some of you are so pissed off that you're not fighting against the Dracos. Cynthia, what are these people doing? I give them good news and they yell at me. I don't get it. You're not fighting aliens. You're not fighting extraterrestrials. That should encourage you. That should strengthen you. Every one of your enemies, every single thing you fight is terrestrial. You're fighting on your home turf. I've played competitive athletics. And when you have to go to somebody else's home stadium or home rink, it's hard to play at somebody else's place because everybody's against you. At your home place, you know. And at your home place, you got your friends, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brothers, the people that like you, they're there. Your girlfriend, you're trying to do well to impress her. This is good news. Don't fight against me. Don't get upset at me because I'm giving you good news. So let's take a deep dive on this. The text doesn't care what you think, but the translators do. That's why they put those things in there like places. And the translators do too, but we'll talk about them in a couple minutes. Let's take a look at this. Let's deep dive it. The text is telling us that this place we live in is an enclosed realm. Nikola Tesla told us that too. So a lot of people, a lot smarter than me, have said that. That's a hard knock on the heliocentric label. That's a hard knock on the heliocentric model. But I'm not here to talk about this or this. I'm here to talk about who we fight, and we're not fighting anything outside of this enclosed system. The big takeaway for me is that everything we fight is from here. We're not fighting against anything extraterrestrial as badly as they want us to think we are. You remember the first line of this story they were trying to sell us? We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. But we do. And almost everything we wrestle is exclusively flesh and blood. We wrestle against our own bodily distractions. We wrestle against a rat bastard who's also flesh and blood. We wrestle against the earthlings that are aligned with him, who are also flesh and blood. We wrestle with the entities within the area enclosure surrounding this earth. What are they? Are they even real? What are they? Let's talk about that a little bit in our remaining time together today. And what are the translators? The translators are those that change their mind later and want to change the text too. Are we fighting against wispy, windy, airy enemies? Do we have incorporeal enemies? Or are all of our entities flesh and blood? Remember the beginning of this, they said you don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Part of understanding the Bible that is against you is understanding it's an opposite book. And cousins, if they say you don't wrestle against flesh and blood, that's a really, 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 really good reason to think that you might wrestle only against flesh and blood. Let's talk about it. I'm this close to thinking we only wrestle against flesh and blood. Let's talk about it. Let's go to the chat room real quick. What do you think? Do we wrestle against only flesh and blood, or do we wrestle against some spiritual, energetic, incorporeal entities? What say you in the chat room, real quickly? Yes, we wrestle against things that aren't flesh and blood. No, we don't. Throw up some answers real quick for me. Yes or no? Yes or no? Taylor says, yes, we do wrestle against some spiritual things. Shane says, yes. Space is Water says more. Jovanka, more than just I'm a badass. Both. Two trees. No, we don't. It's just physical. Shane Stevenson with the classic Halo answer. Yes and no. Yes and no. Jay Armstrong, yes and no. Nemesis, both. John Willard, both. Kim Randall, lots. Grammy Quilter, yes. Interesting. Brian Williamson with a great question. If we say we wrestle with spiritual and physical, are we playing into duality? Two Tree says, in our heads. Tracy says, my war is always mental. Well, let's look at this. Do you guys know what a tulpa is? A tulpa is a entity that is created by the focus of mental, emotional energies. Can you imagine about 4 billion people focusing their mental energies on things, worshiping things, singing to things, praising things, talking to things, giving their heart to things? Can you imagine the power of these things, whether you believe in spirits or not? Can you imagine what could be born of this intense devotion and focus from the combined billions of the Jewish religion, the Christian religion, and the Islamic religion, just the Abrahamic religions? Can you imagine all of the things that are there? Don't you know that there's got to be a Jebus tulpa out there? Probably many Jebus tulpas. Tulpe is the word, the plural. Don't you know there's got to be a Jebus tulpe? There's got to be an Allah tulpe. There's got to be a Mohammed tulpe. The Father is a tulpa. And probably tulpe, more than one. Mary's a tulpa. The saints are tulpe. The archangels are tulpe. Avatars are tulpe. Guides are tulpe. Forget about the ascended wise beings that are here to give you wisdom from above and beyond, because there ain't any of them. Kim Randall asked, do we manifest our own rat bastards to carry around in our pocket? That's deep. Are there some disembodied entities, some non-corporeal entities that we wrestle with My gut, my 40 almost years of experience tells me yes. But I always tell this story, and this story I think is a powerful, real story. And this is a story that will get your mind right if you let it get your mind right. This is an analogy that'll get your mind right if you let it get your mind right. And I want to just let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm gonna check here to make sure. On Wednesday, I believe, on Wednesday, folks, at Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Come on, you. Sometime I got a mouse that's breaking down, and the new one's not going to be here for a while, so it's worrying me just a little bit because I'm hoping that I don't throw this thing against the wall and have no mouse. But I'm in control of my emotions, so that's not going to happen. But on Wednesday the 4th at 2 p.m., we're going to have Dustin from Launch Medical. That's why I put the rocket logo up. And Dustin is going to talk to us. It's not going to be a rocket commercial. We're not going to do that. I wouldn't do that to you. But what we are going to do is we're going to have Dustin come in, and Dustin is going to talk about the science, ladies and gentlemen, the science that the rocket works on, the science of this product. And I'm looking for the right. I had a really nice explanation to it, but now I can't find it. Oh, I know where I put it. And this is going to be great because even if you don't want the rocket, this is about energy healing. This is about energy medicine, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going to want to listen because what they're going to be talking about is they're going to be talking about acoustic wave therapy, clinical studies, applications, tennis elbow, plantar fasciitis, cellulite, sexual performance. We're going to talk about acoustic wave therapy. We'll also talk about the rocket just a little bit as the home use acoustic wave device. That's going to be on Wednesday. And go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the rocket logo, and you can get the best deals out there for the rocket. We also have some other great shows coming up. Let me just give you a preview on those because this is exciting stuff. Tuesdays, today's Monday, right? Tomorrow night, I will be on with Late Night in the Midlands from 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. We'll have Dustin on Wednesday talking about the rocket. And on Friday, we've got Pierre Sabak coming back to talk about his book, Holographic Culture. That should be really, really interesting. So those are some of the things that we have coming up. Those are some of the things that you can look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. Always trying to bring you the best of information. Always trying to bring you some great thought-provoking guests. But let's think about this. And I forget what we were supposed to be thinking about. But you've got these entities, ladies and gentlemen, that are receiving all of this worship. They're receiving all of this praise. They've got to be real. And can they interfere in your life? Can they get to the place where you need to wrestle them? Yes. But you have to know that if a Jebus comes to you, it's a tulpa. It's not on your side. It's against you. The Father, not on your side. Mary, not on your side. Saints, not on your side. I hate to say it, archangels aren't even on your side. Avatars aren't on your side. Guides aren't on your side. Because what are they? They're incorporeal beings that probably used to be human, and there's only one way for an incorporeal being to stay functional as an entity in this enclosed realm. Eat energy from another entity. And guess what the most powerful entity in this realm is? You. You got a body. You're a spiritual being. You are a smorgasbord for these beings. Jeff, you're telling me that my guides aren't helping me? I'm telling you that if your guides are helping you, the only reason they are is so they can continue to feed on you. Jeff, you're telling me that avatars don't help me? If they do, it's only because you're feeding them. Archangels don't help me. If they do, it's only because you're feeding on them. The Father doesn't help me. It's quid pro quo. It's quid pro quo, Clarice. Jeebus, the Father, Mary, saints, archangels, avatars, guides, Grandma. Maybe not Grandma. They are not on your side. The only reason they hang around you is so they can feed off of you. That's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. That is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. And think about it. Think about it. I mean, think logically about it. If we're here to master this system, how fair would it be while we're mastering this system that we'd have to fight against beings that are from outside the system? If we're trying to master this system, how fair would it be for beings and entities from outside the system to be able to mess or interfere with us? It'd be a violation of natural law. This arena that we're in is a closed system. And the Star Trek show, The Arena, from the original series, may have disclosed our true situation. So probably tomorrow I'm going to go through, and it'll probably be demonetized, but I'm going to go through and do a reaction video on the Star Trek Arena episode, because they may well have disclosed the game to us within that particular television program. That's going to be a really, really strong one. That's going to be a really, really entertaining one. And just by way of a little teaser, we're going to do a comment video, a reaction video on the Arena. This is the opening scene of that episode, The Arena. Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and I can't remember who the other guy was. And he had the ubiquitous red shirt security guy that's about to die. And we're going to talk about it and ask, did Star Trek disclose our current situation? It was episode number 18. Episode number 18, which numerically is 9. If you look at numerology.com for the number 9, you'll get where I'm going with that. Runaway Train says arena is sand in Spanish. Does it mean the same thing? I would think it does. So look forward to that. That'll be interesting. That'll be fun. And that's forthcoming probably tomorrow. I don't expect us to be able to do it. It's, 42 or 3 minute. Tracy Dyer says the uniforms are alchemically symbolic. I'll look forward to you weighing in on that, Tracy. That's very, very interesting. Gold, blue, red. But that's all they had on the original series was let me think. Yeah, they had the gold uniforms, the red uniforms, and the light blue uniforms. That's all they had. Kirk had a green shirt that was only for him. The later iterations of Star Trek basically just went all red and black. Interesting, but that's really good. I hope that Tracy will enter in with her commentary on that, ladies and gentlemen. So great stuff, interesting stuff, powerful stuff. Two Trees, thank you so much. I really appreciate you with the what is that called? I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about Star Trek. Super Chat. Next Generation flips them. Yep, absolutely. So even though I've been here an hour, I don't usually talk an hour, but it's been a long time since we've been with you. I will run through the chat room. If you have to leave, I understand, but I do want to at least give you the respect to look at your like an egregore sort of. Yep, absolutely. So true, Jeff. Thank you so much. We wrestle with our fears and our unhealed pain. Oh, that's so strong. And I'm fixing to really get into that. Cynthia, great comment. Black magic, absolutely. No doubt about it. Blood magic really is what it is. Let's see. Collective consciousness, black magic on us again, black magic, and that's absolutely true. Jeebus, Tracy says, yep. Let's see. What else have we got? What if the cloud is a tulpa of collective information? I don't know. There's no real worship. There's no real focus on the cloud, but I see where you're going with that. Interesting. I like that. Collective thoughts live on and on, says Tracy Dyer. I'm new to your show. So I'm glad that I caught your chat here, Becky, but not to your channel. You are awesome. Love your work. Thank you so much for all you do. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was going to be, I'm new to your channel. What the hell are you talking about? No, thank you, Becky. Very nice to have you here. Do tulpas wear toupees? That's a great question. I don't know. I would probably say no. Occultists do create them intentionally. Talking about tulpas. Perry has hit on a great thing, and I think this is what Tracy was alluding to. Sometimes our biggest problem is our own minds, and we are our biggest enemy. I've always said, even when I was preaching, the devil you deal with the most is the one you look at in the mirror. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to tell you about great white sharks. I'm a diver. I haven't dove in a long time, but I did a week-long dive with great white sharks, mostly in the cage, also out of the cage. So, Jeff, you told me you got out of a cage with a 17-foot great white shark. Yeah, I did. Was it stupid? Probably. But there were these guys from National Geographic there. And they said, if you ever do I'm like, hey, if I ever get caught, I'm a new diver. If I get caught, because you can't just go from the bottom to the top real fast or you get sick. It can kill you. You got to go slow. And when you're in the middle of, say you're 60 feet down, it takes a ways to get up. And I'm saying, what do I do if I'm 30 feet up and I see a shark take an interest in me? And they said, well, you make yourself big, make yourself menacing, go towards it a little bit, because a shark is doing the math in his head. How much energy am I going to get from this guy versus how much energy I got to spend to eat this guy? I guess I got to show this because it's a super chat. But do I watch Skull Cap Savant? I don't know if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, but either way, the answer is no. Hopefully, it's not who I think you're talking about. But anyway, well, that's great information. But guess what? If you're not going in the water, you don't care about how to defend yourself against attack from a great white shark. You don't care. Much in the same way, I can tell you how to defeat demons, real unbalanced entities. I can tell you how to fight against these entities, but you're never going to see them. 99.9% of you will never see them. So why spend the time? You are the demon that you fight the most. Tracy enjoyed what just happened. I'm glad that you did. And somebody says, what about the Zodiac? I don't really know what you mean by that. I'm kind of with Matt Z. It's just a data farm. But who knows? Who knows? Folks, I appreciate you being here tonight. It's a great time. It's a great place. And it's full of great minds. The main thing to remember is that you don't have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. You're divine. You're sovereign. You're free. And all you have to do is unindoctrinate yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the right to life and life more abundant and to peace and that passes all understanding. And we are the last generation of real humans. So it's a good thing we're divine, we're sovereign, we're free. But we've still got to unindoctrinate ourselves. And there's a world out there that needs unindoctrinating. So I'm asking you to join me on this quest to bring unindoctrination to as many as will receive it. We bring them the water, hope they drink, maybe hold their head underwater for a little while until the bubbles go away, see if they'll take a big drink and see if it has an effect. But we bring them to water, hope they'll drink. We bring them to truth, hope that they'll think. It's like Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. But we're not going to stop trying. Let's unindoctrinate ourselves. Let's bring the message of indoctrination to others, and let's get busy.